Dateline, Thursday, July 15th, 2010. We're behind the power curve. We are behind schedule. Normally today, I would be taping the Chaser for Friday. And we're still going to do that, but first we need to talk about something. We need to talk about a mosque near Ground Zero. Reality bites, but not for the reasons you might think.
Welcome to the real world. I will rush in like the wind.
Whew. Okay. I can't actually believe that I'm going to get into this, but maybe we need to start talking about things like this. There's a building next to Ground Zero that certain groups are trying to get designated as a historic landmark. The reason they're doing this is because if they don't get it designated as a historic landmark, then the building will be torn down and a new building will be built in its place. What this building will contain, we'll discuss in a minute. And it has to do with this. We are fast approaching the 9th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. On that day, in 2001, 11 Islamic extremists flew planes into the World Trade Center, both towers, into the Pentagon, and attempted to fly a fourth plane into the White House or the Capitol. We can't know what the destination of that plane would have been, only because the brave passengers on that plane interceded, and that plane went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But I digress. Over 3,000 people were killed, injured, or otherwise affected that day by the actions of those 11 men. Flash forward to today in New York City. The building that they want to build next to Ground Zero is slated to contain, among other things, a mosque. Now, there is a vast opposition on the conservative side to this project. And the argument that I've heard, the prevalent argument that I've heard, is this. Let's call it a quid pro quo argument. Why do we need to be so tolerant? They're not tolerant of our religions. What would happen if we tried to build a church in Egypt? What would happen if we tried to build a synagogue next to Mecca? It would never happen. They would attack it. They would tear it down. We don't need to be tolerant of them either. Why are we so tolerant? That's the quid pro quo argument. But isn't that what sets us apart from those types of societies? Isn't that what makes us so different as a nation? Hasn't that proved to be our strength over the past 200 years? Isn't that why they call us the melting pot? When did we stop being the melting pot and become, or start to become, America for Americans only? When did we start to become the isolationists once again? When did we start walking down that dimly lit path? I think we need to stop in our footsteps, ladies and gentlemen, and examine the path that we're walking down, because the slope's starting to get a little slippery. At least in my opinion it is. Now, the question is, do I think that they should build a mosque, or a building that would contain a mosque, next to Ground Zero? No, I don't. But not because of the quid pro quo argument. Because it's inappropriate. It's an inappropriate place to put a mosque. It would be viewed as an insult to the victims of September 11th, an insult to the families of the victims, to New York City, to New Yorkers, and to America as a whole. At least that's the way I feel. I don't think it's wrong to build a mosque, and I do believe in my own heart of hearts that there is room for Islam and for Muslims in America. I just don't think that we're ready as a nation, as a city, that New Yorkers are ready. I don't think that the families are ready to have that kind of establishment next to the site of 9/11. But it does bring up a good question about tolerance, about our capacity to not only tolerate, but to accept and to absorb different aspects of different cultures into our society. And this debate doesn't just end here. It bleeds over into other things that we've already talked about, such as immigration. Now, for those of you that have watched my other videos, and I realize that this video is kind of an about face for me, and some of the neocons that might have loved my other videos are going to be like, what? He said what? And some of the liberals that have bashed me in my other videos are going to be like, whoa, did he just say what I think he said? Yes, I just said what you thought I said. But I digress. This applies to immigration as well. Look at Mexican immigration. Look how much of Mexican culture we have already absorbed into America and Americana. Take, for instance, Taco Bell. It's nothing for us to run down to Taco Bell and get an enchilada. Or, for those of you who remember them when Taco Bell first opened, a Bell Burger. Those of you that are old enough will remember what I mean when I say Bell Burger. But it's, and I know it's not authentic Mexican food, but it's not the fact that it's authentic or it's not authentic. It's the idea, it's the concept, it's the basis for things like Taco Bell that we have already absorbed into what we are as a country, of what we are as a nation, as a people. I think we could do the same thing with aspects of Islamic culture, of Middle Eastern culture. I think there's room for that. I really do believe that there's room for that. So, I guess what we're left with is more questions than answers. And, you know, I kind of hate to end it on that kind of a note. But rest assured that this will be hotly debated in the near and the far future. Welcome to the real world.